It's District Breakdown time. We're joined Houston Chronicle reporter Jon Poorman. We're talking 9-5A Division I. Very interesting district. It's mostly all HISD, and then Galveston Ball got tossed in there to make it a 9-team district. What do you feel? What are your initial thoughts on this district?
Well, there's probably a lot of happy coaches that they don't have to prepare for Fort Bend Marshall anymore. Obviously, they've been kind of the cream of the crop, against these schools in district play, over the last several years. But, that being said, it's kind of wide open. Who's going to take the district title this year? It's going to be really interesting to watch. Obviously, it's a big district, and, you're going to be diving into the district action pretty quickly. But you look at the past history, and the last team to win a district title out of these schools was Waltrip, and that was in 2017. So someone is going to win a district title for the first time in a while, and many of these programs haven't won a district title in decades. So, it's going to be really interesting not only to watch, who can come away with this district championship, but those 4 playoff spots, those are up for grabs. I think it's really interesting with Galveston Ball coming in. They were a playoff team last year in a really tough district with Port Arthur Memorial and Friendswood and Beaumont United. I certainly think that they have the talent to be able to compete for the playoffs. They have a returning starting quarterback with Seth Williams. So, that's an interesting addition for sure.
And they got the newcomer of the year wide receiver, maybe not newcomer of the year, but big-time wide receiver, and Will Cianfrini at Galveston Ball as well. He's a big basketball player too. But you mentioned the not winning a district title to 2017. For the average fan, probably doesn't mean much. You're looking at who's going to play who in the playoffs, this, that, and the other. But to be able, for one of these HISD teams or even Galveston Ball, to be able to hang up a district banner in their school saying that they won their district does mean something. And the fact that all 9 of these teams, well, maybe 7 or 8 of these teams really have a good chance to win this district and as you said, make one of those top 4 playoff spots really, really means something. Let's talk a little bit more about the HISD teams. You were talking about a couple running backs or a running back that you got your eye on.
Yeah, for sure. When I look at these HISD teams that have a chance to compete at the top, I'm looking at 2 playoff teams from a year ago in Sterling and Madison. And Madison in particular because of one guy that I really like, running back Chase Devon. He set a Madison single-season rushing record last year with over 1,600 yards. He'll obviously kind of be the catalyst for the offense there. And Sterling as well, they're going to have some guys back. And I think that both of those teams are looking pretty good when it comes to, making a run at the playoffs. Really like Madison, though. I think that they're definitely going to compete here at the top of the standings, I would expect.
Yeah, I was looking over Sterling as well, and they got a running back named Cameron Patterson that could have a breakout year. I think he was under 1,000 last year, but he certainly could find a way to make some yardage in this district as well. The interesting thing about the HISD teams, as we were talking earlier, is they have the open policy. They can go to any school they want, and a lot of them choose Lamar. They choose Heights, Bel Air. Some of the teams that are 6A that they'll get better competition. So the ones that stay and are talented, they really want to be there. They want to have a sense of community. Let's talk a little bit more about how much that would mean to them to forget about the district title, but to be able to compete for a playoff spot. I know I was talking to Sharpstown's head coach Matthew Torres a little earlier, and he was talking how they were 9 points away from making the playoffs in the Marshall district because they had a lot of these HISD teams, but just making the playoffs is a big accomplishment in HISD.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, obviously, a lot of these kids take pride in where they're from and the school that they represent and, the area that they grow up in. And I think that's a great thing, wanting to, play for the school and with the guys that you kind of grew up with. I think that's an awesome thing. And, Madison, for example, is a very proud program. They have a rich tradition of history, obviously going back to the Ray Seals and Vince Young years. And so I think a lot of kids look at that and they want to follow in the footsteps of some of those great Houston ISD players that came before them.
They can really compete in this district and not a chance of getting hurt. Like I know some of the coaches were telling me, hey, going up against Marshall, we're trying to get through those games with all of our players back without getting hurt. I appreciate you joining us. Sorry about the old cough thing. I'll figure that out a little later. Next week we're going to talk 10-5A Division I, and that's going to have Magnolia's joining with Manville, so it should be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, that's going to be this is going to be one of my favorite districts to break down, I think, just because of the sheer difficulty and the different teams that are in there, and the geography and everything about it is pretty fun.
Absolutely. All right, thanks for joining me, John. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, see ya.